Hello, it's Marika Lake here and welcome to my channel. I live on the west coast of Australia with my hubby Greg and we homeschool our 4 kiddos. I have Will who's in grade 8, Em is in grade 4, Cruz is in grade 2 and little Jackson is in pre-primary. And we have been homeschooling here in the Lake House Homeschool for 4 years now. In today's video, I'm going to give you a look inside the new unit study that we are using from Gather Round Homeschool. The unit study that we're going to be doing this term is called Ancient Civilizations. And in today's video, I will open up the teacher's guide and the student notebooks and give you a look inside so you can see what the lessons look like for yourself. So I have the teacher's guide and I have 3 notebooks that I'll show you today. I've got the middle school, the early elementary and the early reader. These are the 3 notebooks that we're using for my children. So they're the ones that I will show you inside today. Now, Ancient Civilizations is a part of the Year 2 Selections of Unit Studies from Gather Round Homeschool. And because I live in Australia, Gather Round Homeschool don't ship to Australia. So I purchased the digital download of the curriculum and I purchased the family bundle. So that gives me the teacher's guide and then all of the notebooks. And then I choose what notebooks I would like to print out. And then I print my books out at home on my home printer. And everyone always asks me about that. So the kind of printer that I have is a Epson Eco Tank. I know that is a pretty popular printer and there's different versions of it, but it's a really great printer. I do recommend that brand because it has refillable ink. So it's much cheaper than other printers out there. So my printer's great, really love it. So that's the Epson Eco Tank. So I print them at home in colour and then I just have a binding machine. It's not a fancy binder, just one that I picked up off of Amazon, I think, but it's one that is sold at Officeworks. And I bind punch and bind the books myself at home. So yeah, that's what we do for purchasing and printing. I will leave links in the description box down below so that you can go check out the curriculum for yourself and have a look at the cost and things like that. And I might even link my printer and binder as well, just because I get so many questions about that. But I'll leave those links in the description box down below for you. So I will show you inside the teacher's guide for Ancient Civilizations. Now on the website, they on the Gather Round Homeschool website, they have pages on there that aren't included in the teacher's guide anymore. So in the Year 1 unit studies, they had those pages in here, but because this is getting so thick, they decided to put those extra pages online and you can download them and print them out yourself. They will have planning pages and book lists and things like that go along with this unit study. So they're not in the teacher's guide, but if you wanted to have a look at them, they are available on the website and you can even have a look at them and download them even before you purchase the unit study. I always recommend going and having a look at the book list because they have lots of great ideas for books for your children to read on their own and read alouds to go along with the unit study. So what I usually do is I look at that book list and I usually pick one book each for my children to read and then purchase that to go along with the unit study. So I will leave a link to those pages in the description box down below so that you can go and have a look at yourself. And there's usually planning pages and things like that there as well that you can print off yourself. So the unit study starts with just a note to the teacher, which is an introduction from Rebecca Spooner, who's the author of the curriculum. You can just see here, I'll just go a little bit closer for you. Here, this is really kind of important section here. So when you buy the family unit bundle, you get all of these notebooks, and you get to choose where you think your child will fit in and print them off. So they just give some recommendations here. Again, these are just recommendations. You can place your child wherever you like. But the pre-reader books are usually for 3 to 5 year old kids. The early reader is for 6 to 8 year olds. The early elementary is for 8 to 10 year olds. The upper elementary is for 10 to 12 year olds. Middle school is for 12 to 15 year olds, and high school is for 16 to 18 year olds. And so you can slot your children in wherever you like. Obviously, this is just a helpful recommendation for where you would like to place your children. So how this curriculum works is that you have a teacher's guide, which has all the lesson information in the teacher's guide, and you read aloud to all of your children from this teacher's guide. And then after you've read aloud the information, then the students work on their own individual notebooks, and their individual notebooks are tailored to their age. So have similar lessons but tailored to their age. So this is how this curriculum works. And so it just has a little bit of information at the beginning here about how the curriculum works, and what supplies you might need, and then it jumps straight into the lessons. Now, normally in the Unit 1 lessons, there would have been planning pages at the beginning, a book list, things like that. Again, they're available on the website. So here is a look at the contents page. If you'd like a closer look at what lessons there actually are, just you can pause the video and read through that. But there are 20 lessons in each unit study. So it will take you 20 school days if you do a school day to complete this unit study. We usually do 3 lessons a week on this unit study, and so sometimes this one unit study will usually take 1 school term for us. We break down our homeschool here into 4 terms of 10 weeks. So usually this will take me about 10 weeks to finish 1 unit study. So I'll do 4 unit studies a year, and then I add in 2 mini unit studies. So I'll do the Easter unit study and the Christmas unit study. So here are all the lessons that you're going to be going through. This is a recitation that the children will learn to read, and they'll have a copy of this in their student notebooks as well. Then we straight away jump into, this is lesson 1. And so as I said, this is all information that you read out to your children, and then they have great illustrations. So it starts off with a prayer here, and then this is all that you read out here, then here, here, and here, and that's the end of that lesson, I think. And then just this bit here. Usually lesson 1 is a lot longer than the other pages, but this is all information that you read aloud to your children. So what I usually do is I will actually cast the teacher's guide to my TV. So I have it on my laptop, and then I have Apple TV, and so I just use that to cast this to my TV so that the children can see the illustrations. So we'll all sit on the couch while I'm reading, and they can have the illustrations to look at. And if sometimes my children like to colour in while I read aloud, or they like to eat morning tea while I read aloud. So they're generally not just sitting still. They'll have a chance to look at the pictures, they'll be eating or colouring in. My oldest son, he's happy quite to curl up on the couch and listen to me read aloud and look at the pictures. But if your children do struggle to listen to a lot of reading, you can do things like that. You could read a little bit, stop and do a few activity pages and go back to reading. But my children handle and are used to a lot of the reading aloud, and they actually enjoy that. So so this is, as I said, all the reading aloud here. And the illustrations. Every now and then I might stop for an activity break here, and they'll give you, again, you don't have to do this, but they'll say, why don't you stop here and go find some pictures about what we're talking about, or something like that. So sometimes there's a little activity break along the way. As you can see, it's not just illustrations, there's proper photographs as well. And then at the end here, there's an option for an extension activity. So if you wanted to dive deeper into the subject that you're just looking at, they give you an idea of an extension that you could go and do. Again, that is optional. You don't have to do that. But they give you an idea of something that you could do. So for example, this says, there's a treasure trove of information and theories, all biblically based, at organisations such as Answers in Genesis. As a family, take some time to research the scientific support of the Bible as well as the biblical support of history. So then you could go away and do that. With this, here they have another optional activity about making a timeline. Obviously, this is a history unit study, and so they encourage you to create a timeline. So they're saying to pop these two events onto the timeline that you're going to make. And then here, it gives you a day at a glance of the lessons that your children are going to be doing in their notebooks. Remember, this is the teacher's guide, and each child has their own notebook. So here, it just goes through the different notebooks and gives you a brief kind of overview of what they're going to be doing in their notebooks. So you, as the teacher of the unit study, can have a quick look at what they are going to be doing. And so you can see here, this is the early reader and early elementary. They have the same pages, and there, this is what upper elementary is going to be doing, middle and high school, and just gives you some brief information about what they're going to be doing in their notebooks. And then it goes straight on to lesson 2. Now, all the lessons are set out very similar. They all have information to read out and illustrations and a day at the glance at the end. So you can see here we've got maps and photographs. So that's why it's really great if you have that ability to cast it onto the TV so that all the children can see. If not, showing them the pictures in the teacher's guide is great. And again, come to the end, Bible break activity, the timeline, reminding you to put this event on the timeline that you are making. And then it says time to open up your student notebooks. And here is a day at the glance. It also provides any answers as well in this section. If there's specific answers, they'll include them in these notes here in the teacher's guide. So that's really handy as well. And then into lesson 3. Now I'll just give you a quick flip through of some of the lessons so you can have a look for yourself. At the end of the teacher's guide, there's always an appendix, and they'll include any extra things in here that you may need for any of the lessons, and sometimes there's usually maps and things like that as well. So now I'll give you a quick look inside the notebook. So first one I've got here is the early reader, which is for my son who is 7. So let's jump in and have a look. I've got the table of contents here at the beginning. This is the recitation that you saw in the teacher's guide. This is a passage from the Bible that they can learn throughout the unit study. And then we jump into seat work. So this is something that I noticed is not in the first year's unit studies, but they do have this seat work, I think, beginning in the second year's worth of unit studies. And what this is designed to do is these are extra pages that the children do each week before they get into their notebook. And so what we have here, so this is week 1's seat work that they're going to do, and then there's a space here for them to actually do it. So you could just do it once, or if you wanted them to do this each day, what I would recommend is printing out 4 copies of that and then sliding that into the notebook before you bind it. But I haven't done that. I'm just going to get my children to do this once. Or if you didn't want them just to do it on here, you could add in some blank pages for them to do, or have a separate little notebook for them to work on. So in week 1, this is the Bible verse that they're going to be learning, and so they will write that out as copy work. And then these are the spelling words that they're going to be looking at this week. And this is going to be something that they're working on this week. Here's extra history to look at, and some calendar work, and then a checklist of the things that they have done. So on this page, it has room for them to do their copy work once, as you can see here. Then it has this section, Lord, please help me be the thing that they're working on. There's a section here for nature journaling, and here is an example of like calendar work that they can do. So writing about what day it is, what is today's date, what is the weather like today, what is today's temperature, and what time is it. So obviously, if you wanted them to do this each day, you would need to put those extra pages in, or they could have their own little notebook where they could then use this on day 1, and then on day 2, 3, and 4, they could use their own special little notebook to write out this and to do their calendar work, and then also to work on their spelling words as well. So you might do extra activities for that. You might do getting them to write them down first. You might do the look, cover, write, check, method on those words. You might get them to put those words into sentences, and so they need an extra notebook for them to do that. Or if you're binding it yourself like I did, you could put extra pages in here so it keeps it all together. So I have not added in extra pages. I actually do have a separate notebook that Cruz works in, so I will use that to do his seat work in. So that's an extra thing that they've added in, and I like that. So that's week 1's seat work. Then this is week 2 seat work. Obviously then they have a different Bible verse. I think it's a different one. Let me have a look. Yeah, different Bible verse that they're learning, different spelling words, and a different kind of character trait you might want to work on with them. So that's week 1. Week 2, then the page for them to fill out. Week 3. And week 4 and week 5. I think there's 5 weeks worth of lessons. So that's all the seat work, and then it jumps in to the lessons. So this is lesson 1. Usually they have 5 pages to go along with the lesson that you read aloud from that teacher's guide. So usually the first page is like a notebooking page about the things that have been read. As you can see here, there's a bit of colouring in and matching and circling about the subjects that we were talking about. Here on this activity page, you can see it says same page alert. That means that this page is the same for all the other student notebooks. And so as a family, you might want to complete this page together. So that's why they always have that same page alert. And this is looking at the timeline of events. And then, so this one here is a history page. You can see here, it says here what subject it is. So this is a history page. This is a social studies and history page. This one is a language arts page. So there's a section here that you, if there's anything, usually there's scripts. So the children either read it if they are able to read, or if not, you read to them what it is they need to do. And then there's an activity for them to do. So that's the language arts. Then this is a science page. And then this is an art page here, an art activity. And then it goes on to lesson 2. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pages each day, plus a page of seat work to do each day. And so this curriculum covers all of the subjects except math. So then you would just need to add in your own math curriculum. But this is an all-inclusive curriculum, and so throughout this, it'll have all of the learning areas covered, and then you just add in math. So that was lesson 1, and then I'll give you a quick look at lesson 2. So this is the beginning of lesson 2. So you can see it's like a notebooking page. There's some mapping to do, some writing. So this is history page. Then we go into, this is social studies page. Again, another section to read aloud and some matching to do there. This is a history page. This is a language arts page. And then this is art. And then moving into lesson 3. So I'll give you a quick flip through some of the pages before I move on to the next notebook. Of the notebook, there is always an appendix section, and in here is any cutouts or any extra things that you need to complete any of the lessons. So you can just see here it says for what lesson, and then there's the cutouts that you need. And then anything extra, sometimes they include maps in here, and sometimes even flashcards as well that you can print out and laminate and use while you are teaching the unit study. I think this one all has just cutouts in this one. Yep, all cutouts. So that was a look inside the early reader notebook. Next one I have to show you is the early elementary book, and that is set out exactly the same as the early reader, just the lessons are targeted obviously for older children. So you have the table of contents and the recitation passage that they'll be working on, and then there's seat work included as well. They'll have the same Bible verse each time, but obviously different spelling words that they're working on, and so that's the seat work for the week, and then there's a place for them to work. As you can see, this one just has the dotted lines. In the younger book, the writing was actually there for them to write on top, but as you can see here, for the older children, they've just included the blank lines. Again, if you wanted a page for each day, then if you have the ability to print it off, you'll need to print off extra pages and pop them in here, or have a separate notebook for them to work on this each day. So each day that they get their notebook out to work on, they will work on the seat work according to what week that you're in, and there's extra spelling each day, and then this, and then they pop straight into their lessons. So here's week 1's seat work. Here is week 2, and a place for you to do the seat work. Here is week 3, week 4, and then week 5. And then we pop straight into the lessons. So again, 5 pages for each lesson. This is lesson 1, and so this is the history page that they're working on. Here is the social studies and history page. Again, that was the same in every notebook because it has the same page alert. Here's their language arts page, their science, and then art. And then it goes into lesson 2. And again, there's 5 pages again. This is a history notebooking page, social studies page, history again. This is grammar that they're working on, and art. And then into lesson 3. Again, I will give you a little flip through of some of the pages in this book. An appendix section in the back, once again, with any of the cutouts and anything extra that they may need to complete the notebooking pages that they have. So there's quite a lot back here. see here, things to make. And that's a look at the notebook for early elementary. The last notebook I'm going to show you is the middle school notebook. This is for my oldest son. Again, set out exactly the same, has the contents page, the recitation, and then they have seat work in here as well, but obviously just targeted, excuse me, at their level. So here is the copy work they're working on, which is the Bible study. Here is a list of spelling words that they can work on. Here is a section for them to start learning how to schedule their day, what the older students are doing is looking at current events. So it's encouraging them to look up current events. There's history excavation, so extra things that they can look up and read and learn about for themselves. So that's week 1, and then it has the pages for them to use. So this is where they will write out their Bible verse. This is where they're going to make notes of the current events that they were looking at. And then here's a schedule for them to fill out. So again, if you want to use this page, just print it off multiple times and bind it in here, or get them a separate notebook that they can work on, and they can then have that notebook for all of the unit studies that they're working on, and put their extra spelling and things in that notebook as well. So that's week 1 seat work. Here is week 2, week 3, week 4, and week 5. And then it pops straight into their lessons. So this is lesson 1, and again they have 5 pages as well, and they will are similar but look different to the other notebooks that I've shown you. So here is the history notebooking page. As you can see, with this one, it's much more areas for them to write and make notes. This is lesson 2. This is history. This is looking at the timeline. This is another history here. There's also an extension activities included in these notebooks. And so this is where you get to dive deeper for your older students and get them to have a look at a little bit more. This page is their language arts page. This is looking at research. This is language arts as well. And this is their science and their art. So I think he had 6 pages in this notebook. I think there was an extra page for language arts in this one. And then moving on to lesson 2, again 5 or 6 pages for the middle schoolers. A lot more information for them to read, extra information that wasn't included in the teacher's guide for them as well. All right, I'll give you a quick flip through of the lessons in this notebook. There is also an appendix section as well at the back here for any extra pages or cutouts that they might need throughout their notebook is included in this section as well. Thank you so much for watching my video today. If you check out the description box down below, I will put any links down there to any of the things that I've shown you and talked about in this video today. I'll also pop in there some links as well to other videos that you might be interested in. I have lots of homeschool videos where I show you the different curriculum that we're using, how I plan our curriculum, how I do our portfolios. I even have family vlogs and day in the life vlogs as well, so make sure you check those out. So have a look at the description box down below, and if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, I love it if you would just hit that red subscribe button, and if you click on the bell next to that, that will give you notifications about when my videos are live for you to watch. Again, thank you so much for watching my video today, and I'll see you next time. Bye.